Welcome, everybody, to this week's OneDoor Studios update. Today's really fun because we have with us one of our investors, Ryan Knight, who's coming to us from Texas, right, Ryan?
Yep, outside of Houston, Texas.
Ryan has been very heavily involved with, um, calling us, emailing us, giving us advice and ideas for our projects, and we really love his involvement. And so we wanted to invite him to be on this call with us today. This update today is going to be a very comprehensive update because we haven't come to you in a while because there's been so many changes in the marketplace, so many changes to what's happening with Calculated. We've shifted from the development part of script writing to now approaching production partners and distributors. So just lots of change. We wanted to give you guys updates and also challenges that we faced. And so we actually want to start today with the challenges to get them out of the way so we can talk about the good stuff that's happened. So um, you guys may have remembered about a year ago or so, we started hearing about banks that were going belly up and other banks that were buying them. Uh, Paul, when did that start happening? I don't know if you remember what month that happened. Throwing you on the spot here.
I don't. I mean, with the general state of the economy and recovering from COVID and everything else, I don't remember. But as far as how it was impacting Hollywood, um, COVID shut Hollywood down, and then right after that, the strikes took place. So the banks, any bank involved in Hollywood was probably going, "Oh my gosh, like what the heck? This is not an industry we want to be investing in."
Yeah. So tons has shifted since COVID and since the strikes. Those banks that are closed and reacquired. In fact, where we held our money, or actually, no, we hadn't held any money. We opened an account at Signature Bank in Beverly Hills, and Signature Bank ended up being purchased by another bank because our funds weren't affected, but that's how closely it hit to us, even as far as where we bank. So we've a lot of challenges that we've faced, and part of in fact, the challenges we faced have been so great with these strikes that we, as the founders of Wonder Studios, we decided that we were going to work for free, and we've not taken a dime of payment for working for this company for over 6 months now. All of us are still working full time, and we're still working really hard for you guys to get these projects. We wanted to save the funds that we had because of the delays with the strikes and the problems with the bank. So, um, one of the issues with Calculated and its development is the bank funding because of the difficulties we're facing in the bank. East West Bank, we had a meeting with East West Bank, and as you investors who have been part of our updates would know, our plan was to get 100% bank financing for the production of the film. Investors who invested in the development, paid for the script writing and the money's in the bank for attachment fees, et cetera. And we still have about $400,000 in the bank right now set aside for Calculated. But um, East West Bank told us that in this current climate, it is unlikely that 100% of the film could be funded through bank funding. Percentage of something like 60 to 70% is optimistic. It's something that we just don't know at the moment. And what that does is it affects the timing of our development investors' return. A portion of the returns uh, may come when we get the portion of the bank funding, but we don't know what percentage of the production funds will come from bank funding at the moment. So we wanted to let our investors know, first of all, that the timing of your initial return, some of it may be delayed. It's not, the amount's not changing. It's just the timing may change. So that's the first piece of really hard news that we had to share with Ryan, and we kind of wanted to get Ryan's perspective on this too, because he had some really great thoughts about this piece of news, which affects him greatly also. So Ryan, I just wanted you to share with us what you said to us.
Yeah, so whenever this was mentioned to me, I'd already been sitting here as an investor, and I went back and looked. I originally invested in July of 2021. And so I was thinking, as the bank failures were happening, man, I hope our money's not in this bank. And then seeing all the strikes, and I was just getting nervous, like, man, what is this going to do? This has to be pushing us back. Are y'all going to have to raise more funds? I didn't go back and reread all the contracts and all that, but I'm like, man, this just seems like some bad timing. We're getting some curveballs thrown, at us constantly. And for me, the reason I invested was I read the book, loved the book, so decided to take a chance and put some money into Calculated. Then over the next year, y'all sent me all these updates, and you can just tell how genuinely honest and forthcoming y'all are as people, and showing everybody along the way through the process. And so I actually invested a larger amount in the sequels, and that was based on both the book and you guys. And so as I'm hearing this now again about delays, for me, when I was looking at investing the larger amount, it came down to the 10%. Getting your money back was nice. Getting your production money back and not being tied to the film, that was nice because that took the risk out. But the real carrot for me was, how do you get some residuals? And I think most people tied to a movie look at, when I see like Keanu Reeves made like $50 million or something on The Matrix and all that, it's tied to the performance of the movie. And so for me, I was looking at it as, man, y'all are offering investors 50% of the residuals, and based on whatever your portion of the investment was. And I was like, this just seems unheard of to get access to that. And so again, love the book, felt more and more comfortable with y'all. And so as you're telling me this now about a delay, I'm still in this for the reason of residuals are still there. You're still telling me everything's going to be there. It's just delayed. But I'm invested in people as much as I am the project. And so everything I hear, yeah, I don't like being delayed, but you know what? I've been in since July of 2021. What's another few months? You're not telling me you're diluting anything. You're not telling me you're canceling anything. There's not bankruptcy. So to me, it's remarkable that you guys are not taking a salary and still forging ahead. And again, that's why I felt comfortable investing in the sequels. It was because I'd gotten to know you guys and see behind the curtain from all your updates.
So that reminds me, what you just said reminds me, one comment I saw on one of our calculated updates on WeFunder. It was a year and a half, 2 years ago. I saw this comment. Was someone said, "Thank you for all the updates. I can weather any setback as long as I know what's going on." And I just thought that's just so important for us to be able to, come to the investors and not just, paint, "Oh, this is fantastic. Look what happened this week. Everything's rosy and great." But we actually can tell you when things are going difficult, because this is yours. As an investor, this company is partially yours. And so you have the right to know when things are difficult. And that's just what they are, is difficult. I mean, nothing big is ever done without setbacks and difficulties. But there are a lot of amazing things that have happened and great progress we have made, which I think we want to get to that. But Paul, am I missing something as far as the tough news?
No, I think we covered it, and I think it's obvious to almost everybody. And even just a cursory knowledge of Hollywood, how many movies were delayed, all the way down to Barbie. I mean, we're talking about release dates that were pushed back a year, and these are major studios. So almost anybody that's been an investor or a producer or any way connected to Hollywood has faced the realization of these delays from the strike, from COVID, from lots of factors. Even beyond the strike and COVID, there's been the struggle of movie theaters to keep up with streaming and to keep up with gaming and other forms of entertainment. So the whole industry has faced it. We've not been immune to it. I think the critical thing for people to understand about the structure is the original plan was that the first investors of the development of the project would be paid back fully when we got the production financing. And what we're saying now is that's not likely to happen because of the shift in how the production financing will come in. And so you're still going to own what you own. You're still going to have the right to be paid back plus your premium, but it's going to be a portion of that is going to come out of the movie's profits as opposed to out of the movie's production budget, because the
Right.
production budgets have been squeezed and every line item now has been squeezed. And when they look at the development line item and we say it's this much, we're expecting both banks and private investors to say, you got to trim that. And so whatever the haircut is there is going to be what's pushed to later. Whatever we can get in that development budget, repayment is coming back to you. So you're going to get something back, we believe, but a portion of it's going to be pushed to later. So just to be clear on that.
It's a shifting of timing. It'll be the plan is there'll be a portion of it upon production, and then the other portion that isn't coming from bank funding or it has to come from other sources will just come later. So
And let me make one other positive comment about this shift in what we call the financing stack, how we're going to fund the film. With 100% bank financing comes this little thing we know as interest. And we all know that interest rates have skyrocketed. And so the cost of bank money has skyrocketed. So the fact that we're now not going to be depending totally on bank money and we're going to have other private equity joining the bank money benefits us on the front end because we're going to be paying less interest. The cost of money will be lower. So there's actually some benefits from this shift as well.
right. So brings me to the good news, which some of you may be going, who is this guy talking? If you haven't followed all the updates. So this is Paul Lauer. Paul Lauer joined our team in the last year. He is someone with a tremendous amount of relationships in Hollywood and a tremendous amount of experience as well. He's worked on, wait a second, I don't have your bio in front of me. Is it 25 or 50 films, Paul?
Yeah, it's probably closer to 75 movies. Yeah, over the last 20 years. I started when I was 5 years old. I'm 25 or something like that.
Yeah. So Paul actually, Ann Peacock, our writer, she wrote the script for Narnia, Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, and Paul happened to be also on that same film. If anybody's seen The Shack, Paul was on Shack. It worked on Shack. And check out his IMDb. Paul Lauer, you can see how his name's spelled there. He has and tons of relationships in Hollywood. A Passion of the Christ, he was also on. So we're super grateful that Paul has joined us because it brings a tremendous amount of power to this team.
And can I double click on that for a second? So check out this offer, guys. All of you investors out there listening to this. So I got involved with OneDoor Studios through my mutual friend Dan Cobb, who's also part of OneDoor Studios and is now the CEO of MyStream. He said, "Hey, I'm working on this thing and we could use some help." And I said, "Okay, well, I'll do some consulting." And after a couple of months of consulting, the guys came to me and said, "Look, we've got a really good offer for you. We'd like you to be the CEO.
Mhm.
We'd like to pay you nothing. And when can you start?" And I said, "Yes. We're deferring our salaries. We're all hoping that someday we'll make some of our salaries back, but we're all working for free. And we're essentially co-investing with you now."
Right.
Like for the last 7 months, I've been putting my heart and soul into OneDoor Studios and MyStream for zero income because I'm betting on the same thing Ryan is betting on, the same thing that you all need to be betting on, which is the long-term assets that we have. And I believe in them enough to spend this time, to risk this time. So anyway, that's where I'm at.
So on to the good news, where we are currently. And I was hoping before the call today that I would get word or whether I could share names. And I think the answer is still no, right, Jason?
Yeah, maybe not yet, but
Not yet. Okay. Well, as you guys know, we've done this a ton of times. We can't give people's names until there's contracts written because it's just the way it needs to work. But you could ruin relationships and make people feel super awkward if they're not prepared for you to mention their names on our call. So the good news is the calculated script is done. All this years of process with trying to find writers, months and months of trying to find her. That was done, and then we had Anne write, and then we had the strike, and then Nova polished the script and did just an amazing job of polishing the script. And then Paul and Nova worked again for another month doing an additional polish on the script. We went to TIFF and presented the pitch deck and the trailer, Rip-O-Matic trailer of the movie, which distributors from Germany loved, and we had such tremendous response from Sony as well. I mean, I can say they loved it. I'm not saying we have any contract; they loved it. So, and so we are now no longer in the script writing phase. That's in the past. We are now in the approaching production partners and distribution partners. And we actually had this is the person's name. I wish I could tell you, you guys would be so excited, but this person, this producer who has produced one of the highest grossing films in the last couple years, I think over $1 billion that these movies brought in, was bugging Jason on LinkedIn. Just kept messaging Jason over and over again, I think for a month, and I think Jason didn't answer.
But yeah.
He's not easy.
It was just, yeah, a lot of people reached out to Jason on LinkedIn. But anyway, so this producer reached out to Jason. They finally had a conversation, and this producer said, I love Calculated. Calculated needs to get to the world. And so this producer has been working very closely with us to bring Calculated to a major distributor. And I can't tell you which one it is yet. I'm so sorry. We hope to tell you soon. So right now, Calculated is in the hands of this one major distributor. It's been there for about 3 weeks now. The way this process goes is we give them a time period to look at it. And if they say yes or no, or if it's just delayed for too long, at some point we say it's time to move on, and we move on to the next one. But if we got this distributor, it would be absolutely amazing because they produced many, many films that are in the same genre, very successful films as Calculated. So that's the one piece of really fantastic news is we are in this next phase, and we're no longer in that previous phase of endlessly writing. Let's see. I can't give names. Our decks are completed. We have a lot of assets that we're taking out right now. Paul, where am I at here? What are these?
Yeah, well, just to reiterate what it takes to get to the stage that we're at. I know you guys have been at it for years. I'm the newcomer to the team, but as I walked in and I saw how far you guys had gotten, how cool the stuff looked, not only the underlying IP, the book itself is a great book, but what you had done with it, what Ann did with it, and then Nova did with it script-wise, and even the visuals that have been created around the film that hasn't even been shot yet. If you guys haven't seen some of these visuals, where can they see like part of our deck? Is it on our website right now? OneDoor Studios.
We're technically keeping our deck like
Okay.
a surprise for the studios. We don't really want it to be public yet. So
Okay. Well, suffice to say that when we showed it at TIFF at Toronto Film Festival, we were blowing people away. Like the studio execs that we were meeting with were saying, wow, like we haven't seen anything look this good at this stage. And frankly, it's been the gift of technology and our ability to harness that technology, largely Dan Cobb and his amazing creative skills that enabled us to create a pitch and a presentation that was way above even studio presentations. I can tell you, I worked through the whole Narnia evolution. I was at Disney in meetings where there'd be 30 people from all the Disney enterprises, from theme parks, from the studio to the merchandising, and they were pitching and presenting what the Chronicles of Narnia was going to look like. I can tell you the stuff that we've created for Calculated blows that away in terms of the level and the complexity and the beauty of it. And that's thanks to technology and thanks to Dan being able to harness the technology.
Hey, how about a kick butt editor?
Oh yeah, that's right. Steven, well, on the Rippo, yeah, exactly. Steven put together an amazing Rip-O-Matic. We call it a Rip-O-Matic. It's basically a sizzle trailer to show what the film will look like before we've actually created the film. So I just want to encourage everybody that what what this team has created to this stage has been top studio level class. So now that's good. It doesn't mean that every studio is going to say yes. It's got to fit for them. We believe we're with the studio that it fits the best for, but we also feel this fits with at least 3 of the other major studios. So we're going to see what Plan A says, and then we'll move to Plan B if Plan A says no. Actually, if Plan A says no, then the marketing in me says they just said maybe. And we're going to go back and try and convince them to go from a no to a maybe and a maybe to a yes. But we'll do that at the same time that we're exploring our next opportunity. And then just beyond calculated, we've got simulated. We actually have a spec script already written for simulated. We haven't contracted with it yet, but it's written, and we're at the right time. We're going to get ourselves in line to be able to read that script. And likewise, we have a script for Messiah, which is a really pretty good script. So this is the movie about Handel's Messiah. And we have 3 or 4. Jay and John both brought amazing IP into the mix, or the OneDoor Studios mix. That includes Messiah. That includes the 2 Curdy movies, which were the inspiration for Chronicles of Narnia and Lord of the Rings. Georgia MacDonald, that author, was the inspiration for Tolkien and C.S. Lewis. Those are family-friendly fantasy novels and movies. Jay's developed an amazing plan for Cyrus, the great king of Persia, Cyrus the Great.
So I actually wanted, John, because you haven't said anything. I wanted to actually get your perspective on, because said the script is done, and it's maybe some people say, hey, so how is it? How is the script? John's the one who always talks about, rewrites and rewrites until the script is cracked, was the word you always use. So what's your take? I want to know your take.
Oh, you know my take.
But our investors don't.
I know. No, it's no small feat, I think, is what the point Stephen's getting to, and I'm happy to add my position on it as well, which it doesn't really matter in a way, because when the studios read it, they really don't ask for our opinions. they know we're sold on it. The script's got to stand on its own feet, but it's really remarkable. You can have a script that's strong, but most scripts, even at the studio level, go just a little too early. And it's good to have those finishing touches in it that just gives it that sheen, that extra sheen that makes it stand apart. And we've really gone to that extra extent to make sure that everything's there to make them really sit back and just kind of admire it. In this industry, it's an extraordinary accomplishment, and there's a resonance when you read the script relative to how the audience is going to feel, and that's the final signature that really matters to everyone in the process. It's the people in the theater. It's the people that really characteristically sit through the titles, through the end credits, because they're just kind of savoring the experience that they just had, and even that talk a little bit to other people in the audience afterwards, just because they almost need a little
confirmation of what they experienced while watching it, right?
Yeah, exactly. Thanks, Stephen. It's that kind of thing, and it's a beautiful thing, but it happens all too rare. So it's a good thing. So all of that to say, which Stephen may edit out now, the script is really exceptional, and it did go over the top. And so when we sent it off, we're excited about it. We don't want you to get over excited about the studio response, but Paul didn't mention it with any clarity, but the initial studio response is usually kind of breaking it easy to the producers, saying, God, we're really, thank you for bringing it to us, and especially thank you for bringing it to us first. And that wasn't how they came
Yeah,
back. They
no.
said, give us a few days.
I
So
just got to add, one of those, the really important thing that we forgot to mention was because of Paul's relationship with the head of this particular studio and this other producer's relationship, we didn't submit calculated to like the readers, if you know what I mean. There's some low level people, you got to get through that door before it gets to this door before it gets, we submitted it straight to the top, which golly day, if they say yes, I mean that just cuts so much time off the process. So that's the power of having Paul and this other producer friend who I really want to share this person's name. Hopefully we can in the next few weeks.
But they both knew this person, and the relationship with this other person that we can't name is strong enough that Paul said,
Right.
why don't you submit it? And then I'll confirm. I know you have it. I just want to let you know that we're excited about your take on this.
Yeah.
So that was also
Yeah.
really strong. But
Yeah.
good point,
So
Steve.
Ryan has been.
There's an adage that's particularly true in Hollywood, which is it's not what you know, it's who you know. Um, it's actually both, of course. You got to be able to deliver the goods, but it definitely helps to have contacts. And just by being in Hollywood for 2 decades, I've gotten to know a lot of people, and the unnamed person that we're talking about was actually at a different studio when I knew him. And so it was providential that he moved over to the studio that he's now in, because that studio is even better. It's even a better fit. So
Yeah.
let me just say one other thing about Calculated as a story and as an experience, God willing, as a movie experience. It has heart and soul.
Mhm.
There's so much just plain entertainment that tastes good when you're experiencing it, but it's at the end of the day, it's junk food. It's not really doing anything for you other than, you know, stimulating your taste buds. But later on, there's an aftertaste where you just like, what did I just do for 3 hours? And what did I just put my kids through for 3 hours? And was there any value to that at all, other than getting a little bit of a break from the stress of my life? And the reality is, the type of films we want to make, starting with Calculated, every one of these films is not only going to entertain, but it has to inspire. It has to enliven. It has to change hearts and souls and culture for the better. And that is baked into the DNA of our company. And I believe that Hollywood box office results show that those type of movies ultimately do better. They
Yeah, that's
actually
true.
are financially better. The ROI is better when it's a good moral ROI. It's a good money ROI.
Yeah. Yeah. So Ryan has been so patiently sitting in that corner, in the upper left-hand corner of my screen, and he kind of spoke a little bit about the challenges. But now that you've heard, where we are with the development process of this, I wanted to get your take on and just how you feel about it. What's your take on where we are with Calculated?
Well, it's all really exciting to hear. And, going through all this, for me, it's from the first time when y'all announced Ann Peacock. I didn't know who she was, but I went and looked her up and looked at her background. I was like, wow, this is a legitimate writer, and everything has been what I would say is first class the whole way through. You haven't cut any corners. And as we're getting towards the end of this journey, I guess, or getting closer, I feel relieved just knowing that y'all haven't rushed to do anything, haven't cut corners, haven't watered down anything. And as an investor, I wouldn't have it any other way. And if you gave me the option of saying, hey, we can honor the early investment portion, but we would have to take away ABC, I would say, no, thank you. How about we just take our time, do it right? And then, like I said, I've already been in this for 3 years. what's another 6 months, 10 months, and get it across the finish line the way you want it done. And then let's see where we come out there. And that's all I've heard and been reaffirmed for 3 years now is everything's going professionally. And you've been so forthright that I still feel at ease, even though, I don't like delays, but it's unfortunately just part of it. And as a small business owner myself, I've dealt with some issues also, and you just got to work through them.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks so much, Ryan. I think your small business is a little bit bigger than just a little small business, but you're being humble. Thank you so much for joining us today, Ryan. I need to cut it off now because we need to get this video edited out to our investors so they can get the update. Is anything else that anybody wants to finally add before we say adios to our investors for this particular update?
We need to hear from Jay.
I was just gonna say thank you again. I always say that, but we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for each and every investment that each and every one of you have made.
Yep.
That's
They're
about
all investors, that's for sure.
That's why it's $1 million is made up of a million single dollars, and so every one is just as important as the others. So,
And I just want to add that it's great that we have Ryan on the phone because of all of our investors of whatever size, Ryan's been probably the most collaborative in terms of shooting ideas and opportunities our way. And we love that. Like, this isn't about a handful of us at OneDoor Studios or my stream coming up with all the answers and then hopefully making everybody else successful. This is about all of us working together, the power of the crowd. Some of you listening to this today have good ideas that we want to hear. And it's not necessarily like pitch us your next movie idea, although why not? Go ahead, do that. But other ideas, just other thoughts, other inspirations that you feel could help us, we're open book. Let's do it together. Don't be shy. Reach out and share your ideas with us.
well said, Paul. Thanks so much for joining us today, and we will see everybody else on the next OneDoor Studios update in another couple of weeks. See you then.
Again.
Now.